Hi, boys and girls. This is lesson 13. I'm going to review, again, placing numbers on a number line using benchmark fractions to help you understand how fractions compare to each other. This time, we're clearly looking at fractions greater than 1. So we're starting at 1 and going to 2. So it's still one section, but we're looking at things being greater than a whole because we have one whole already right here. And you're going to apply this to other large whole pieces and fractional units as well. All right, so let's take a look. We've got 3/4. Clearly 3/4 is greater than 1 because we've got the numerator is larger than the denominator. So when I break this down, it actually becomes 1 1/3. Okay, so now we're going to look at where 1 1/3 is on the number line. So we've got our 1 right there, and then 1/3 of the way down. We just did this yesterday. So you're going to think of this whole part as being separated into 3 parts, and when you do that, 1/3 is about right here. And 1/3 is equivalent to 4/3. It is the same thing.
1/3.
Okay, so this is the same thing. So 1 1/3 is the same as 4/3. And yesterday we learned that 1/3 is less than 1/2. So it makes sense that 1 1/3 is less than 1 1/2. Now 11/6. Take 11/6 and make it into a mixed number. So how many times does 6 go into 11? Goes in 1 time. How many parts are left over? We have 5 parts out of 6 remaining. So now we've got 1 5/6. So now what we're going to do is think of this whole thing being separated into 6 parts. So just like we did yesterday, we're going to separate it into 6 parts. So 5/6. You know that 5/6 is greater than 1/2 because 1/2 of 6 is 3. So 5/6 would be all the way over here. So we've got 11/6 here. It's the same as 1 5/6. Because if we ended up here, this would be 6/6, and that would be equal to 2. And now the last one is 17/12. Oh boy, these are big numbers. But let's convert it into a mixed number. So 12 goes into 17 one time. And then you have 5 parts remaining out of 12. So now we're looking at this whole thing being divided into 12 parts. And when we have it divided into 12 parts, look at this. 5/12 is going to be smaller than 1/2 because 1/2 of 12 is 6. So 5/12 is going to happen right here, right before that halfway mark. Because if it was 6/12, it would be right on the halfway mark, 1/2. So we've got 1 5/12 is the same as 17/12. So sometimes it's helpful if I were in my classroom, I'd be teaching this with colored markers. And we would be putting like different pieces of clear paper on top of one another to see this. So if you can use colored pencils to help you or a dry erase board to help you, that would be a good thing. All right, so let's take a look here. Everything's on the number line. So we've got 1 5/6 is right here. And we're going to compare that to 1 5/12, which is right here. And once you have them plotted correctly, honestly, putting them on the number line is probably the hardest part. But once you see them in the correct spot on the number line, you can then see that, okay, I'm traveling down my number line. If I get here, I haven't traveled nearly as far as if I've traveled here. So I'm going to know that 1 5/12 or 17/12. So these are the same thing. So what you've done is you've converted it to make it easier to look at on the number line. 1 5/12 is less than 1 5/6. So it needs to look like this. 1 5/6 is greater. So if I go all the way down here, I've traveled farther. I've traveled a larger distance. So 1 5/6 is greater than 1 5/12. And then we've got 1 1/3. So 1 1/3 is right here. We know that to be the same as 4/3. And 1 5/12 is right next to it. Look at that. So if you're traveling down your number line and you get to that 1 1/3, you have not traveled as far as if you got to 1 5/12. So 1 1/3 is less than 1 5/12. All right, let's do a couple on the other page. Again, you're looking at just comparing, using your benchmark fraction and looking at things that are greater than 1. So let's see. Well, maybe not all greater than 1. So we've got 3/8 and 7/12. So again, think of half, the half benchmark. Think of half of 8 as 4. So 3 is less than half, right? It's less than 4. So this fraction is less than half. And then we've got 7/12. Think of half of 12 is 6. 7 is greater than 6. So this fraction is bigger than half. So this is what you need to put here, that 3/8 is less than 7/12. Over here, we have you're thinking of half of 12 is 6. 5 is less than 6. So this is less than half of that benchmark. 8, we've got half of 8 is 4. 7 is greater than 4. So this fraction is larger than half. So you've got 5/12 is going to be less than 7/8. All right, hopefully that helped, guys.